are the same thing, the same exact thing. If you do cocaine, you're a crackhead. But they just change the molecular structure of what it is. And now for some crack rock, you get 20 years. But for so cocaine, it's like you just get a slap on the wrist, right? But they're the exact same thing. So the Israelite man will get a stiffer punishment, while the so-called Edomite will get scot free. It's a Wolf on Wall Street type deal, right? So it's Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sabbath. This is pre-recording. It's being recorded on the Sabbath day. This lesson that we're going to talk about today is trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is I feel is something that doesn't get a lot of light in our community. So through the Spirit, we're going to go over what trauma bonding is, who is the causer of trauma bonding, who is the abuser of trauma bonding, who is the victim of trauma bonding. So let's open up like always with the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in Bahasham Mashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father, Bahasham Mashiach Yahushai. So let's get a definition of what trauma bonding is. Trauma bonding, a dysfunctional attachment that occurs in the presence of danger, shame, or exploitation. Again, a dysfunctional attachment that occurs in the presence of danger, shame, or exploitation. So there are 6 signs to trauma bonding, right? And what we need to remember that this attachment it begins because of danger. So the so-called Black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man and woman have been in danger since the inception of America. Why? Because our abuser has put us in danger by taking our lives away, by taking our land away, by taking our language away, by leaving us pretty much defenseless, right? So we have now gotten an attachment to our abuser. Our abuser shames us by you have, back in the, the 650s, 60s, 70s, you had the caricatures of ourselves with the big lips, big eyes, shiftless type, lazy. This is where all these stereotypes come from. If you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. Things like an elevator can raise a family, but not a black man. All niggas like chicken and watermelon. This is the shame they gave us. Exploitation. They exploit us. You can just look at the sports world, right? You can look at boxing. Putting the 2 Israelites amongst each other fighting, and then the real money gets made by the people who actually own the networks where you watch it at, right? Sports, same thing. We don't own these teams, these basketball teams. These are owned and controlled by our enemy, right? The one who we have an attachment to. So let's go over the first sign of trauma bonding, right? A relationship is unpredictable. So our relationship with Esau, the so-called Caucasian, is a very unpredictable and volatile relationship. It says relationship is unpredictable. Abuser's attitude can change on a daily basis. So Esau's attitude constantly is never the same. It's up and down, right? Let's go to the book of let's actually first let's open up with the book of Psalms chapter 73. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 73, and verse 3. It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked, for there are no bands in their death," meaning there's no pain in Esau's death. Esau lives life without a care in the world, right? Esau lives long lives free of stress, free of drama, free of anything. But the so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American man, his life is lived in the dumps, lived in projects, right? Lived off of welfare, food stamps, and things of that nature, right? It says, "For there are no bands in their death." They don't have to go to they're not filling up the hospitals because somebody got shot in Beverly Hills, right? They're not filling up the hospitals because someone's suffering from diabetes or something like that, right? So there are no bands in their death, meaning there's no pain in their death. They go into nursing homes and then hospices, right? And then they die with their family around them, their family and friends around them, right? But there's no bands in their death, but their strength is firm, right? Because they control everything. They control every aspect of this world, of this society, which makes this what? Their heaven, because they're in control, they're in rulership. Verse 5, "They are not in trouble as other men." So a so-called Israelite cannot do the same exact crime as a so-called Edomite and get away with it. You know, back in the 90s, it was, you had the crack epidemic hit so hard. And crack and cocaine are the same thing, the same exact thing. If you do cocaine, you're a crackhead. But they just changed the molecular structure of what it is. And now, for some crack rock, you get 20 years. But for cocaine, it's like you just get a slap on the wrist, right? But they're the exact same thing. So the Israelite man will get a stiffer punishment, while the so-called Edomite will get scot-free. It's a Wolf on Wall Street type deal, right? So it says, again, it says, "They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain." You see that? "Violence covered them as a garment." So imagine that you put on your clothing, and that's your clothing to cover your body. This is the same way. This is how the Bible is explaining how the violence of Esau is. His violence covers him as clothing, like a garment, meaning it's always on him. He's always ready to kill, always ready to steal, right? He's always on point to deceive you. Verse 7, "Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish." You see that? Esau has more than his heart could ever wish for, right? He owns he has real estate out in space through the Space Force, right? He has real estate on the moon. It says their eyes stand out fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. They are corrupt. So the Bible says that Esau is corrupt, right? "And speak wickedly concerning oppression." So, this is heavy right here, because it says that Esau, he speaks wickedly concerning oppression. He doesn't care about our plight. He'll put, our Northern Kingdom brothers on reservations and say that's his way of giving back. We gave you a little bit of land, right? And a majority of these reservations are worse than the projects. Esau gives back and say, "Hey, I gave you niggas a stimulus check." This is the ways of Esau talks wickedly concerning oppression. When back when they had that what was that? I think it was a hurricane or either an earthquake up in Puerto Rico. You had Donald Trump, shooting the damn toilet paper like he was shooting free throws, just making mockery. So it says, "And speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth." So everything that the Most High says, Esau says opposite. Verse 10, therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doth the Most High know? So Esau says, how does the Most High even know what I'm doing to these niggas? How does the Most High know what I'm doing to these Israelites? Let me read that again. And they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? So this is Esau mocking the Most High right here, saying, does he have any knowledge, any foresight on what I'm doing to his chosen people, right? Does he have any knowledge and foresight of what I'm doing to his elect, his anointed, the apple of his eye? Verse 12, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world, right? So your Bill Gates, you know, your Elon Musk, you know, the higher level Edomites. They're the ones that want to be like the Most High. It says, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily, I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. If I say I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. Until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. So this is what we're trying to understand. We're trying to understand the end of what's going to happen to this world right here, because we are living in the last days, right? And this is the time that we need to get ourselves together, right? We need to understand these unhealthy, dysfunctional attachments that we have to our so-called oppressor, right? So let's go back to the first sign of trauma bonding again. It says the relationship is unpredictable. Abusers' attitude can change on a daily basis. So let's address that right there, because this is how pretty much this is how Esau is. Esau is very passive aggressive, right? Esau has this attitude where one minute he's your friend, next minute he's stabbing you in the back, right? It's a very up and down relationship, and these relationships, first and foremost, we're always going to blame Esau, right? But we have taken on the mindset of Esau, so our relationships have now been mimicked after Esau's relationships, right? And so now, when we're together as in the family structure and stuff, we now pretty much mimic Esau's behavior onto each other. So now we have trauma-filled relationships. But first we're going to identify the problem, the cancer of this, who is Esau, who started this whole trauma bonding. And then we're going to go through how it affects our relationships, right? And how we do this, and how we're not supposed to learn the ways of the heathen, how we're not supposed to learn the ways of the oppressor. So let me read that again. Sign number one, relationship is unpredictable. Abusers' attitude can change on a daily basis. So let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, and let's start at verse 15. It says, Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 15, for a while he will abide with thee, right? So that's how it is. For a while, Esau is going to, he's going to kind of be in there, peep the scene out, because that's what he did to the Native Americans. He didn't just come all of a sudden and just take over, but he was very subtle. He was very patient. He waited his time before he actually took everything that Gad, the Northern Kingdom, had, right? The same thing happened when he took us from the coast of Africa. He didn't just come take us. It was very subtle. He had to actually talk to other nations, other African Hamite nations and whatnot, before he actually took us, right? So this is how, when you relate this now to our relationships, when you first get in a relationship with somebody, that man may approach you, and it may be very like he puts up his representative, who he wants to represent himself as. This is what Esau has done. He put up a good representative of how he wants you to think you are, or that he is. He puts up represent how he wants you to believe that he is, but he's not really that way. So it says, verse 15, for a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. I mean, he's nowhere to be found. Verse 16, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. You see that? That's what Esau did. He spoke sweetly with his lips, talked about treaties, how we can work together. Let's share, right? But all in all, war was in his heart. War is in his mind. This is what happens in our relationships as well. That man or that woman in the beginning, they may speak sweetly. Oh, you got such a sweet smell to you. Oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so strong. You just do everything right, right? Nothing's ever wrong. You're out there in la la land somewhere. Esau had us in la la land, right? This pillow talking to us, for lack of better words. An enemy speaking sweetly with his lips, just like how it is in our relationship. That enemy could be literally sleeping in the bed right next to you, right? But you don't know. But what this class is about, again, is trauma bonding. That's what we're talking about. It's trauma bonding. It says an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart, meaning his mind, he imagineth. So you don't imagine things out of your heart. You imagine things in your mind. But in his heart, he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. Can you imagine that? That person that you're laying right next to, literally inside of their mind, in the back of their mind, they think about how I'm going to throw you into a pit. I'm going to just throw you into a pit and take everything you got. And your life is now miserable. And you can't get out of this pit. And then it goes further down into relationships. You start off at year one where everything's all sweet, everything's good. Year two, everything's sweet and good. And then by year 3, 4, and 5, it starts to slowly get worse and worse and worse. And then it's year 10 and you look up and you're looking up from the bottom of a pit saying, how did I ever get in this predicament? That's what Esau did to us. He came here and subtly told us how sweet everything would be with us trading amongst one another, right? Us praying amongst one another, sharing and stuff, right? But then by year whatever it was, we're looking up now, we're in chains, right? Our whole land is taken from us. The buffalo are all gone and destroyed, right? What are we talking about? Trauma bonding, right? Because remember, the definition was danger. That enemy is going to put you into danger. Esau has put us into danger. So when we look at our relationships, we are in dangerous relationships. Verse 16, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, right? Now we know how that goes. When someone is connected in a relationship and they do something wrong or they abuse somebody, they so-called cheat on somebody, infidelity or whatever it may be, right? They beat you, they do anything, they do whatever they do to you, right? They take money from you, and then they say and they're mad, and you're mad at them for a period of time, and then they want to come back, right? And they say, honey, baby, I will never do that again. I'm so sorry. And tears are coming out of their eyes, right? The scripture says he will weep with his eyes. That means crocodile tears, right? This is what Esau has done to us. He says, oh, I'm so sorry for slavery, right? I'm so sorry that this happened to y'all, right? Let's read on. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. As soon as he get the next chance, the next opportunity, he's going to do it again. And he will not be satisfied with just your blood. It's like he's so bloodthirsty that he wants everything. He wants your complete soul, your spirit. And that's what Esau has taken, because he's not just satisfied with your blood, but he wants your spirit. And this is why we celebrated Thanksgiving, the murder of countless millions of Native American Indians, right? This is why we celebrate Christmas, because Esau's not satisfied with just having your blood alone, but he wants your spirit. This is why you got what you call the spirit of Christmas, because Esau is not just satisfied with your blood. This is why you're celebrating the New Year's, when this is not even the New Year's, because Esau is not satisfied with just your blood. He wants you to do, he wants to take everything you got, your culture, your humanity, your way of life, right? I mean, who says that we are, where does it say in the Bible to go to Las Vegas on December 31st, put a mistletoe over a white bitch's head and whatnot, and then give him a kiss? Who said that was okay to do? Kiss some stranger, right? Who said it was okay to do this right here? Esau said this was okay. And because he don't just want your blood, but he wants your spirit. It says he will not be satisfied with blood. Verse 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, so Esau will pretend to be your friend, pretend to give you some aid, let you do whatever you want to do at your little BCU, colleges and whatnot, right? Give you some days off of work, right? It says, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. This is what has translated into our relationships as well. You come back into the relationship and you think things are going to be better. Things have, we just needed a fresh start. But no, that's not what happens. You quickly undermine it, right? Verse 18, he shall shake his head and clap his hands. So Esau, let me read that again. Verse 18, he will shake his head and clap his hand and whisper much and change his countenance. So this is what Esau is going to do. He's going to clap his hands at your downfall. He's going to clap his hands so you can entertain him, right? He's going to clap his hands because of off of your back, because he knows that he has your blood and he has your spirit, your soul. He claps his hands because he has more than his heart could bear or his mind can wish for, like we read in the book of Psalms chapter 73, starting off, right? So Esau is happy about this because he has you locked in. It says, and change his countenance, meaning his countenance is going to constantly change, right? Let's see. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk. Let's go to Habakkuk. Let's go to chapter 1 and let's go to verse 10. So we're talking about the first sign of trauma bonding, right? Which is talking about how the relationship is unpredictable. The abuser's attitude can change on a daily basis. So we're talking about how Esau's attitude changes constantly, right? We're talking about how that person that you're with, whether it be a lover, whether it be a parent, whether it be a brother, a sibling, whether it be a teacher, we're a coworker, we're talking about how we have learned the ways of our oppressor, how we have learned the ways of the enemy, right? And we're going to talk about how it affects us, but then we're also going to talk about solutions for this as well. So the book of Habakkuk, let's go to verse chapter 1, and we're going to go to verse 10. It says, and they shall scoff at the kings, and they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. So this is important. It says, and they shall scoff at the kings. Who are the kings and the princesses? That's us, the Israelites. Yasha Allah, a prince or a princess that has power with the Most High. They're going to scoff and they're going to scorn at us. That's what is happening today. They scoff at us, they laugh at us, and they scorn us. Meaning they shake their head like them niggas, right? They shake the finger. They shall deride every stronghold, meaning they're going to pull down everything that we try to set up for good, for righteousness, for our own selves, like Black Wall Street, Wilmington, North Carolina, what's the more? Rosewood, the things that we set up for ourselves, right? Our own communities, right? That we set up for ourselves. It says they're going to pull them down. It says, for they shall heap dust and take it. You see that? Dust, meaning they're going to turn all these places into dust because they're going to bomb them. Why is that something that's never really talked about? That the act of terrorism, domestic terrorism, happened on the so-called Negroes, right? Why is that something that's never talked about? How the so-called Negroes were bombed, right? How we have places like Wilmington, North Carolina, that was a up and coming a city where pamphlets were books and things were printed out of the printing companies there. You know how we had so much stuff going on. How so-called Negroes had grand pianos inside of their homes. You know, driving fancy cars. You know, and I'm not talking about the SRTs, but they were driving Rolls Royces and stuff like that. You know, this is in the 20s, right? When we was going through the so-called Great Depression. You know, when we had Negroes in suits and stuff like that. But then these places are turned to dust because Esau seen it, right? Esau seen it, and it's like, how are these niggas coming up when they're just literally 10 years removed from slavery? How did he come up so fast, right? Because the Most High says that we are a special people above all nations, chiefly paraphrasing, right? Let's read that again. It says, for they shall heap dust and take it. Verse 11, then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, imputing this his power unto his God. You see that? So we talk about how Esau's mind changes on a daily basis. He says, I just released them niggas from slavery, but I need them back. That's his mind changing, right? That's how it is in our relationships as well, right? You forgive somebody for however they trespassed you, and then a week later, they doing the same thing again. Their mind quickly changes, and they give all hell to their power, right? We know Esau's power is Satan, so Esau's hell and Satan, right? So when we treat each other this way, guess what we're doing? We're doing the same thing. We're all hell into Satan. When we should be all giving all our praises to Yahweh Bahasham Mashiach Yahweh Shai, right? But what we are doing, we are following the ways of our oppressor, the one who has captivated our mind, right? Who has our eyes open, right? And we want to just follow after him. That's where our desire goes to, right? Let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 4. Let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, and let's go to verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. You see that? We can no longer be deceived by Esau, right? We can no longer be deceived by him. This is why this class is so important, trauma bonding, because we can no longer be deceived by our oppressor. We can no longer let our oppressor have these strongholds on our mind, right? The same thing with these relationships. We can no longer allow these relationships to keep bringing us down, right? So it has to, at some point, we have to say, you know what? We have to let the Most High in our relationships now, right? We have to abide by these scriptures now, right? So we can break these trauma holds. We can break these trauma bonds, right? Let's see. Let's go to so let's read the next sign of trauma bonding. This is the sign number 2 on trauma bonding. They constantly betray you, but you still give them another chance. You see that? Esau has constantly betrayed us, but what do? We still give them another chance. How do we do this? We give our sons to them. We give our daughters to them. We give we celebrate their hell days, right? But they constantly betray us. The same thing in this relationship. That spouse, that partner can constantly betray you, but you're still going to give them another chance. It says abusers constantly regain your trust by explanations and apologies. Wow. So our oppressor, our abuser, he constantly explains on why he had to do this, right? He tells you stories like, I had to come from Europe because we were under religious persecution, right? And we had to come here for freedom and everything. We came and then they portray themselves as being pilgrims, right? As being settlers, right? This little small easy things. When inside they're ravaging wolves and monsters and beasts, right? That's the same thing that happens inside of these relationships. They your abuser gives you constant explanations. Well, the reason why I had to the reason why I slept with your brother is because I didn't feel no love from you, right? Or the reason why I creeped out behind your back is because you wasn't giving me none, right? So it says abusers constantly regain your trust by explanations. These are the explanations that we see in amongst our community, amongst our people, right? It says, and apologies. They tell you, I'm sorry, baby, I'll never do it again. Esau says, man, slavery was a tragedy. We got to make sure nothing injustice like that never happens again. It says, even though they've broken their promises so many times. You see that? Let's go to the book of, let's get some scripture on that. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 26. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 26. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 26, and let's go to verse 25. When he speak fair, believe him not. You see that? You can't believe nothing Esau says. When he speaks these sweet words, these fair words, how everything's going to be equal and stuff, equality, right, for all. The scripture says, believe him not. When you're inside of these traumatic trauma relationships and they come speaking these smooth words that sound fair, it says, believe him or her not. But there are 7 abominations in his heart. There are abominations in the mind. There are abominations in the mind of Esau, right? Whose hatred is covered by deceit. That's heavy right there, because it says that violence covers Esau like a garment. His hatred for you is covered with deceit by lying to you, right? And how we know this is the truth. Just take Christmas, for example, what we just got through, what America just got through observing, right? You can be a damn Muslim, and you got Muslims celebrating Christmas. You see how crazy this place has gotten? You got Buddhists celebrating Christmas. Why are Japanese celebrating Christmas? You see this? It says, whose hatred is covered by deceit. So they sit up here and tell you that we celebrate Christmas because this is the birth of sweet baby Jesus, right? He was born on this day and he come to save the world. And then they put a Santa Claus inside of it, which it's like, where's the correlation between the two, right? And then it's Jesus's birthday, but yet you get presents for his birthday, right? And they say, joy to the world. You sang songs like that, right? So they cover it with deceit, right? When really what's going on is a spiritual ritual, right? You're actually celebrating the birth of Nimrod, right? You're dropping down and you're bowing down in front of a Christmas tree, right? And you're putting a present in front of a Christmas tree, and there are little balls under the Christmas tree. Have you ever asked yourself, well, what do these little balls mean? Why are they this color right here? Why is a star on top of the Christmas tree, right? Because that star is a star to their spiritual gods, right? And you're bound down to this Christmas tree to pick up your present and to put down a present, right? And so what's going on? That's hatred towards you, because now you're contaminated. You're contaminated with their philosophies, right? You're no longer serving your power, the Most High. You're no longer serving him, right? But now you're serving their God. You're now serving their idols. So that's hatred for you, because the commandment says, thou shalt have no other God, no other power before me. Thou shalt not bow down unto them. And what are you actually doing? You're having another power before the Most High, and you're literally bowing down in front of the Christmas tree, which will get you destroyed, right? Because the Most High says he's a jealous power. It says, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. So this is actually going to return back on Esau, right? And what's going to happen is going to be a lot of Israelites that are going to become casualties with this stone being rolled on top of them, because you have taken on the ways and the mindset of Esau. Verse 28, a lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it. So Esau has a lying tongue and he hates you. He hates you, Israelites, right? Now this is the same concept, the same spirit that we have amongst one another. We have now gotten this lying tongue, and we lie to our fellow brothers and sisters because we hate them. Because Esau taught you hatred. Esau taught you how to hate yourself. Esau taught you to hate your hair texture. Esau told you to hate your nose. He told you to hate your skin complexion. He told you to hate all of this. And this is why our women, they put on these long weaves, these long blonde weaves. This is why our people bleach their skin, because Esau taught you literally to hate yourself, right? He taught you to hate the men. He taught you to hate being a man. He said, no, no, no. You got to put on this dress right now and put on some lipstick, right? You got to lower your tone, how you talk inside of the office. You got to put on your work voice, right? You can be this mighty black man, this mighty Israelite man speaking hard and heavy on the streets, right? And then when you go to work, you got to put on that passive voice. You got to take away that might out your voice, right? Just so you can keep a job, right? So it says, a lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin, meaning you're going to be destroyed. It worketh destruction. Let's see. Let's go to the book of Psalms chapter 28. Let's go to the book of Psalms chapter 28. Let's go to verse 3. Psalms 20 and 3. Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. This is something that we got to say. This is what King David had prayed. He said, draw me not away with the wicked. This is something that we should actually put inside our prayers, that our mind does not get drawn away into with Esau. And next thing you know, you're now celebrating, waiting for the ball to drop, right? You're now waiting for Valentine's Day. We have to ask the Most High to please don't draw our mind away with the wicked, right? In our relationships amongst one another. We got to say, I want to keep the same energy going and make it better, actually, from year 1 to year 20, to eternity, to the kingdom, with whoever you're with, right? You don't want your mindset to be drawn away with the wicked. It says, draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. That's what Esau does. Mischief has always been in Esau's heart. Verse 4, give them according to their deeds and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert. Right? So let's go to the book of Proverbs chapter 28. Proverbs chapter 28. And let's go to verse 10. Proverbs 28 and verse 10. Whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit. Now you see that? If you want to follow behind Esau, guess what? You're also going to fall into a pit, because Esau has caused the righteous, who is talking about the Israelites, to go astray. Esau has caused our mindset to go away from the Most High and now to follow after his ways, right? So he's going to fall into a pit. And guess what that pit is, right? That pit is the lake of fire. That's the pit that Esau is going to be into. That's the pit that you will find yourself in as well if you want to follow behind Esau. You're going to be inside of that same exact pit. It says, whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit. But the upright shall have good things in possession. You see that? If you're going to be a upright person, you're going to have good things in possession, meaning you're going to get the kingdom, right? If in this lifetime right here, right? If you have if you if you're being upright, you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, your relationship is going to be healthy, right? So you're going to have good things in your possession. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, and verse 10. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. See that? That's the classic right there. That comes out almost all the time at camp. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so iron is surely to rust, right? So is his wickedness. You see that? So you can't trust Esau. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 11. Book of Proverbs, chapter 11. And let's go to verse 21. Though, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. See that? So don't think that Esau's ever going to go unpunished, right? Let's go to the book of let's go to Ecclesiastes the chapter 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, and let's go to verse 11. Surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and a babbler is no better. Right? So a serpent is definitely going to bite you, right? So what it's saying is that Esau is most definitely going to bite you. You don't have to be provoked. He doesn't need no reason to do it. Just like a serpent will bite you without being even enchanted. He has no reason to bite you. He just bites you. And a babbler is no better, meaning running your mouth, right? Let's see. Let's get the book of let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 58. The book of Psalms, chapter 58, and let's go to verse 5. Which will not hearken to the voice of charmers. So as Israelite, we cannot hearken to the voice of charmers, meaning we can't hearken whenever Esau just dangles let's say a job promotion in front of your face, right? He says, I will promote you and I will give you a raise if you can work on the Sabbath day. If you can work on start you can stop keeping the Sabbath and work on my day, I'll give you 100% raise and promotion. You'll actually be vice president of the company if you can just break the Sabbath day. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. So you can, excuse me, you can't hearken to the voice of that wicked man or that wicked woman who has given you a black eye, right? Who has emptied your bank account, and they said, you know what? They come with a gift, some flowers and your favorite chocolate, right? And they said, just take me back. You can't hearken to the voice of a charmer. That's what the Bible tells us to do. So how do we stop these traumatic relationships, right? We follow the scriptures. It says, do not hearken to a voice of a charmer, right? Let's move on to the next sign of trauma bonding. Number 3, it says you feel responsible for their happiness. So a trauma bonder, a person that's being a victim, they feel responsible for making their abuser happy. So let me read that again. The victim feels responsible for making the abuser happy. This is has what has happened with Esau. We feel responsible for making Esau happy, right? So Esau, he complains to you and he says, man, he tells you I got some hemorrhoids, right? And he's telling you on the job how his hemorrhoids are. He's like, man, every time I go, it hurts and whatnot. So your simple ass, you go to the CVS and you get him some topical hemorrhoid cream, and you say, here you go, boss. Do you need some help applying this hemorrhoid cream? And your simple ass applies it. This is what our people do. We go out our way to make Esau happy. This is what has happened now in our relationship. We go out of our way to make our abusers happy and comfortable, right? It says you feel responsible for their happiness. You squash your own will to keep abusers satisfied. So whatever we know that we should do, right? Like for instance, we going back to that example about Esau giving giving you a raise if you break the Sabbath day, right? Let's go back to that example, right? So you don't now say, you know what, I'll take that raise, I'll take that promotion, I'm not going to keep the Sabbath day no more. So it says your will is actually to, in your spirit deep down, is to keep the Sabbath day holy, right? But you said, you know what? I need to make Esau happy. You know, I got to continue his empire, because if I don't work for him, then if I don't fill in, nobody else will. If I don't take if I don't work on the Sabbath day, nobody's going to do it. I just got to do that, because if I don't do that, Esau will not be able to feed his kids at nighttime, and I'm responsible for his kids being fed at nighttime. This is how our people think. It's very sickening, but our people literally think like this. If I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. It says you squash your own will to keep abusers satisfied. Now, you can think about your own examples in your life. If you're in a trauma bonding relationship, how you will squash your own desires to make the other person happy, right? It can be like what? Letting them borrow your car, right? And you know that that person ain't gonna put no gas in that car. That person ain't gonna change the oil in that car. And you know, come Monday morning, you got to be at work, but they got to do something. Let's say on a Sunday, right? And I'm only using Monday and Sunday for edification of the people. Using those days, you know, we don't use these Mondays, Sundays, and days of the week because they're paying homage to other gods, Salakia Mosai. So they're paying homage to other gods and other deities, right? But I'm using it for edification for the mass of people that will hear this message, right? So you pretty much you sacrifice your vehicle so they can do whatever they want, knowing they have a history of not filling your tank up, not changing the oil, or doing anything of that nature, right? So then you get the phone call saying like, hey, I need for you to come pick me up because I ran out of gas or whatever. Can you send a AAA or somebody to come do it, right? But you felt responsible. You had to help them out in some type of way. You just felt obligated to that person, right? Even though they did you wrong in the past. So it says you squash your own will to keep abusers satisfied. You lose yourself. Esau has made us lose ourselves, but we don't have no identity. We are Richards. We are Roundtrees. We are Jacksons. We are all these other last names because we lost ourselves. You don't no longer celebrate feast of dedications, but now you keep Christmas, right? You no longer keep the New Year in the springtime, but you keep it January the 1st, and you eat some black eyed peas and lentils with it. When you have the New Year's, for us, which is around the springtime, chiefly around the time of the vernal equinox, and the New Year, you're supposed to what? Have lamb, right? Instead of keeping you don't keep the feast of dedication no more, and you're eating ham when you're really supposed to be eating lamb. You see that? So we have literally lost ourselves on every aspect, from how we talk, how we dress, how we look. We have completely lost ourselves, right? Let's get some precepts on that. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, and verse 26. There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly. You see that? Let's read that again, because we just read the verse, and we just read that you squash your own will to keep abusers satisfied, right? Let's read what the Bible says again. Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 and verse 26. There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, right? We just gave the example that Esau's like he's feeling bad, right? Because he has hemorrhoids, right? And he has his head down like, oh, my hemorrhoids, I need a cushion and stuff. And he's telling you about his hemorrhoids, and you get this topical cream and you want to apply it to his hemorrhoids, and it says there's a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly. Oh, I just lost everything. My wife left me. Esau's telling you all his problems, right? Woe is me. but inwardly he's full of deceit. He's just waiting to deceive you. He's waiting for you to ask, "What's wrong, Massa? What's wrong? Why are your head so low?" So he can tell you and have you and tell you what's wrong with him and ask you, "Can you do this for me? Would you do that for me?" And you feel so convicted in your heart that you end up doing it. This is the same thing that happens inside these trauma bonding relationships, right? The oppressor will make you feel, your oppressor, your abuser, who you're sleeping with, will make you feel so bad about their life, right? So bad about their life. They'll hang down low, right? And then as soon as you say, "What you need for me to do for you," they kind of rubbing their hands together. Got 'em. That's what they're doing because they're waiting now to deceive you. Verse 27, casting down his countenance. You see that? Your countenance is how you carry yourself, your demeanor. Casting down his countenance and making as if he heard not. Where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware. So let's read that again. It says, casting down his countenance. He has his head down, like, you tell me you'll help him. And he say, and he'll say, like, "You really would do that for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that for you." And it says, and making as if he heard not, he'll be like, "Well, could you repeat what you said you'll do for me?" And he's crying, sniffling, like, "You'll do what you'll do that for me." That's what he does, right? It says, and making as if he heard not, where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware. So before those tears, even those fake crocodile tears dried up, he's already got his plan plotted out on how he's going to pull one over you. This is what Esau has done to us. Esau got off them ships of Europe and whatnot, smelling all bad, crying, saying how many people that was lost on the voyage, telling the so-called Native Americans all their problems, right? And they said, and what did our people do? Because we're such loving people, such kind people and stuff. We took them in, right? And says, here's some food, here's some shelter, right? We did all this, right? Here's some food, here's some shelter, right? And what Esau's like, "You'll do that for me? I can live here, I can have a plot of land, you'll do that for me?" And in his mind already, he's already said, "That's gonna be my woman." Right? Pocahontas is now going to be my woman. And I'm going to say that we fell in love when I really raped her. Right? All this corn is now going to is going to get cut down, and I'm going to put buildings on top of it. Right? All these buffalo are going to be wiped out. And if you decide you want to kill a buffalo, it's going to be a $500,000 fine plus prison. You see that? So that was all on Esau's mind. His hands just rubbing together, thinking about this stuff. And it says, and if thou, where was that? Ecclesiasticus 19 and 28. So like in verse 27, casting down his countenance and making, I'm on Ecclesiasticus chapter 19, verse 27. Casting down his countenance and making as if he heard not, where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware. And if for want of power he be hindered from sinning, yet when he findeth opportunity, he will do evil. So when Esau came here, the settlers, the pilgrims, the what else another the what do they call them? The explorers, right? Because Esau wants to make it really nice. He don't really want to say who he is, right? He wants to say these little nice, kind of calm, not too threatening titles and put on himself, right? I'm a pilgrim, I'm a explorer, right? The whole Indiana Jones spirit, right? Seriously, that's what Esau wants to do. Esau wants to act like he has his satchel on and his hat on. He's like, he's just exploring the world, right? So he got to the new world, right? The so-called new world, right? He landed, right? And he's seen that he was already weak and defeated and stuff. So he's getting off that plane all hungry and stuff, right? So he had to kind of hold back his evilness for a little bit. Esau had to kind of hold back his evilness, his wickedness for a little bit, right? And so once he was strong enough, he was able to eat and nourish himself and whatnot. That first opportunity he got, he did evil on you. He did evil on us. That's what happened, right? Let's go to the book of James, chapter 1. Let's go to the book of James, chapter 1. Let's go to verse 24. James chapter 1 and verse 24. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. Right? So that's what happens is, Esau will leave and then he'll come back and he's a totally different person, right? That's us. We started off as Israelites, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Now we don't even know who we were. We have now totally forgot who we were, and we forgot who our enemy is, right? That's what happens in these relationships, these trauma bonding relationships. At first, you could have been that star person, right? You got your degrees, you got your head on straight, you going to a good college and everything, and then you meet Mr. No Good or Mrs. No Good, and now your life just starts spiraling downhill. And then next thing you know, you smoking weed, you doing crack, you doing every single thing when you were first that top athlete. A perfect example is Krishan, Blueface's supposed baby mama, right? It's pictures of her being this all-star student, cheerleader, active in the in high school and whatnot, and now she's Krishan with the missing tooth and a tattoo of Blueface on her neck, and all types of mischief and stuff. So the scripture's telling you, you forget who you are, because Blueface, he brought her down, right? The same thing happens in these relationships. You forget who you are, and now you got 10 kids, and you only know the baby daddy of 2 of them. You see that? Let's go to let's see. Let's go to let's read the next sign. So we're on sign 4 now. Sign 4. It says relationship is complex and involves false promises. This is so heavy and deep, because the relationship with Esau is so complex, right? It started off with us knowing that he was our enemy, right? You had the Native Americans actually doing things called death dances, right? That they would have what they call during the powwows, right? The powwows, they had actually death dances, right? And I think it might have been Chief I think it's Chief Rennie, but he was notorious for doing what they call the death dance. I believe it's him, if I'm not mistaken. But he did the death dance, and what the death dance was, it was actually banned, because this dance Native Americans would do so they can get Esau off their land. It was a dance putting a curse on Esau and plaguing them. And this dance was outlawed. This powwow was outlawed by Esau, right? So you go from being a mighty Gadite, right? Knowing all these things. We go from being mighty warriors. We go from knowing who we are, our culture, and knowing who our immortal enemy is, right? To now coming to 2023, and from the time of our captivity up until now, you start to lose yourself more and more and more. Integration happens, right? You lose yourself, because we were cool with segregation, but then integration comes. We integrate, and you forget that these were the same people that hung you up on trees, that whipped your back in, that separated you from your family members, right? And now you integrate with them. You see the madness behind that? You integrate with these people. After you integrate with these people, now these people do things like Jim Crow laws, right? Sundown towns, right? And you still just chucking along with it. They put up advertisements of black exploitation, mocking you. They do all these type of things, and then you go a little further, right? Then you start getting this. You start falling in love with them. You start marrying them and stuff like that, right? You start, like I say, like saying on the streets, catching that jungle fever, right? And then next thing you know, you give your sons to their daughters. You give their daughters to your sons. It's breaking the laws more and more, right? So what's going on? The relationship is getting more and more complex, because now you have children with these people, and now you will kind of have a invested interest in teaching them about that other side that actually had you oppressed. So now it's very complex, because now you got this child that's confused, that don't know who they are. They don't know who they have their allegiance to, right? I knew coming up as a young jet in high school and stuff like that. I knew people that were what they will call a mixed child. They had those issues, right? They don't know if they need to go with their black side of the family or go with their white side of the family. They were so confused like that because the relationship has got more and more complex. Let me read that definition again. The relationship is complex and involves false promises. That's how these relationships are with us right now. You know, they start off good, and then the next thing you know, it's a little push, right? And it's like, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. And then you get pregnant by that person and have a baby by that person. Next thing you know, it's a slap in the face. Oh, I'm so sorry, I won't do that again. These false promises, I would never do that again. I would never do that again. I love you. I love the child. And you don't want to keep your child away from the father or the father away from the mother. And now these relationships have gotten so complex because you are now walking on eggshells on how you need to really deal with this person because you all have a child together, right? But this is how trauma bonding works. It gets very complex and intricate. So we're now intricately mingled with our oppressor, and we need to break away from that. And how do we break away through that? From that is with the word of the Most High. He breaks us away from that. It says relationship is complex and involves false promises. Things like this. I promise things will change. That's what they say to you. This will never happen again. Belief in the abuser comes from hope and desperation. So you hope things are going to change and you're desperate. You're like, I can't get nobody else. Nobody else will treat me how they treated me. Right. So it comes from hope and desperation and desire to be in a relationship with somebody. So you cleave on to that oppressor. You cleave on to Esau because you say, without Esau, how am I going to make it? Esau, he controls the electricity. Esau controls the water. Esau controls my food. I have to go to him for one of all things because that's what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us that you will serve your enemies for one of all things. So these relationships have now gotten very complex. So you have a complex hold onto your oppressor that you just don't know how to cut. That umbilical cord is it's spiritually connected to your oppressor, right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesi. Let's see. Let's go to the book of let's go to the book of, I think it's Ecclesiasticus. The Ecclesiasticus chapter 12. And let's go to verse. Let me see. Let's go to verse 12. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 12. Set him not by thee. You see that? This is what we should have did in the beginning, but we can't because we can't now because it's too late. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So some of these relationships we can't stop these relationships now, but we can prevent our offspring, the fruit of our womb, from being into these type of relationships. Is what we can do, right? And we can do our best to pray to the Most High and to ask Him to bring us a new reality, right? That's what we can do. We can't go and now say I'm not going to pay the electric company or I'm not going to pay the water company. We can't no longer do that, right? But now what we can do is pray and say, you know what? I'm going to try to be as self-sufficient as possible. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to do what the Most High tells me to do, so I can make the kingdom where I don't have to worry about paying an electric bill and a water bill or anything of that nature, right? Let's go to sign number 5. You defend your relationship even though it's abusive. Wow. So the scripture tells us that you're going to defend you're going to defend we're going to defend our relationship against Esau. And I see this all the time on the streets, right? Well, you tell them that you tell people our people they're Israelites, right? You tell them that salvation is for them, and what do they say? Well, what about the white man? What about the white man? Where is he at on all of this? Right? The same thing that happens with our relationships now. It says you defend your relationship even though it's abusive. So you defend your relationship with your parents. You'll tell your parents that everything is all good, right? And they believe everything is good, and they have no type of a clue that in reality that you're really you come to see them every other week once that black eye is healed up, right? You don't ask for you ask for help when you at the last moment when you have that disconnection notice on your door, right? And you ask your parents for money, and they say they send you money like I thought everything was okay. I thought everything was all good. So and you defend it. It's like, well, you defend that relationship. You try to hide that relationship. This is what we do right now with Esau. We defend our relationship with Esau, saying, well, not all Edomites are bad, right? There are some good Edomites. Well, that was in the past, right? This is a new day today. It says, you defend your relationship even though it's abusive. Common to deny the facts. It's a defense mechanism. So it's telling us that that's a defense mechanism is to defend your abuser. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and let's go to verse 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. So we're reading that again because Esau is not satisfied with just your blood alone. He wants your spirit and your soul. So we had to read that again. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 17. Proverbs, chapter 17, and let's go to verse 15. He that justifieth the wicked. So if you want to justify, right? You want to defend, right? The wicked, which is Esau. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, right? Say you're wrong for telling me I can't be with Esau. You're wrong for telling me I need to get out of this relationship because you don't know the relationship, right? Even they both are abomination to the Most High. So both of them are abominations to the Most High, right? Let's go to sign number 6. Sense of familiarity makes it impossible to leave relationship. And read that again. A sense of familiarity makes it impossible to leave the relationship. Hard to leave because you can't recognize the situation. So this is why it's hard to leave these relationships because you can't really recognize what's really going on. You don't know how to tangle all the mess, and because you're familiar with it. We are familiar with Esau, so we think that if we do this on our own, we can't possibly succeed. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 10. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 10. Psalms chapter 10 and verse 10. It says, he croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He have said in his heart, the Most High have forgotten. So he says the Most High have forgotten slavery, right? The Most High has forgotten how we stole those niggas, and we pretty much have them do all our labor for us. The Most High don't remember that. It says he hideth his face; he will never see it. You see that? That's what happens in these trauma bonding relationships. Is that you think that the person they forgot about how they abused you, and they're not going to remember it, right? And so you say you're sorry and you don't do it for a bit, and then you go right back to the same thing again and again and again. It says, he have said in his heart, his mind, the Most High have forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Verse 12, arise, O Most High, O power, lift up thine hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn the Most High. He hath said in his mind, in his heart, thou wilt not require it. You see that? This is what the wicked say. This is what Esau says. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite, to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. So the Most High is the helper of the ones that don't have the fathers, right? In their lives. The Most High now becomes your father, right? So let's so we went through, those are the 6 signs of trauma bonding, right? Let's get a few precepts on how we can solve this issue. Let's get a few precepts on how we can fix this issue, right? Of trauma bonding. How we can now become, since we're aware of it, that we identified it, who's the problem, how we now can fix the problem. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, and let's go to verse 1. The Spirit of the Most High is upon me, because the Most High have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. So Hamashiach Yahushai has come to do all these things, right? He has come to preach these good tidings. So he is our example. He is our solution to fixing this problem right here. He has come to open up the prison that you're locked into that you're spiritually locked into under Esau. He's come to release that spiritual traumatically abusing relationship that you are in with your spouse. Right? But we must turn to him. We must ask him for help. We must humble ourselves down and tell him that we need his help. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 21. And let's go to verse 4. Revelation chapter 21 and verse 4. And the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. You see that? This is what's going to happen in the kingdom, right? But we can get a little piece of that heaven right now by just returning back to the commandments, because that's the only way you're going to get that peace eternally, is by returning back to the Father. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 147. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 147, and let's go to verse. Let's see. Psalms chapter 147, and let's go to verse 3. He healeth the broken in heart. So he's going to heal your broken mind, right? And bindeth up their wounds. So the disappointment, right? The loss of family members from Esau, getting gunned down in the street, getting choked up. I can't breathe, right? He's going to heal up all those wounds, the wounds of an abusive relationship with your spouse. He's going to heal up those wounds as long as you return back to him. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 57. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 57. And let's go to verse. Let's go to verse. Let's see. Salakia. Let's go to the book of St. John. Let's go to St. John. not the precept I wanted. Let's go to St. John chapter 8. Let's go to St. John chapter 8 and let's go to verse. Let's go to verse 36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye be free indeed. So if Hamashiach Yahushai makes you free, guess what? You are free indeed. So let's end it with that verse right there, right? Let's read it again. St. John chapter 8 and verse 36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. And in order for the Son to make you free, you have to be a follower of the Son. And being a follower of the Son is keeping the Father's commandments, right? That is adequate enough for you. Returning back to your laws, statutes, and commandments and having the faith is adequate enough for you. Returning back to your heritage is adequate enough for you. It's adequate enough to break these trauma bonds that tie us spiritually to our oppressor, that tie us spiritually to these relationships that keep us and preventing us from making it into the kingdom, right? So I hope this class has been edifying. Most High willing, this class wakes up one person and releases them from their bondage. And most High willing, there will be many more classes, talking about things that like this that we don't typically talk about as a people. And so may the Most High be with you. May the Most High bless you. And Kwam Most High and Kwam Yashala. I'm out.